Go.
Hello guys, I'm CBMF Productions, and welcome back to DC Film Retrospective. Today's film is the third installment of the DCU that switched up the tone from Snyder's darker films, Suicide Squad. The film was in development as far back as 2009, and didn't really resurface until after Man of Steel came out, when Warner Bros. And DC wanted to make their own universe. They brought the idea to David Ayer, whose previous works include Fury and End of Watch most notably, and he accepted to be both writer and director of the film. Quickly after that, casting begun, trying to get tons of names for the film, such as Ryan Gosling as Joker, Tom Hardy as Rick Flag, among others. But it still looked quite a stacked cast who all studied the characters and tried hard extensively for their respective roles. Most infamously, Jared Leto, while preparing for the Joker, tried staying in character and did weird and nasty things that he thinks his version of the Joker would do, mainly saying dead rotten pigs to the cast. Yeah, that's a little too over the top. Anyways, the film was shot in 2015 and got released the following year in August, and was a big financial hit, making it around the same as BVS, and even managed to win an Oscar for best makeup and hairstyling, all winning a lot of other awards mainly from the acting, which was the most praised aspect of the film, especially Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. But the film was clearly panned, and many considered to be the worst one of the DCU to this day, mainly because of the fact of how messy it was behind the scenes. Ayer had to write the film in 6 weeks, and on top of that, because of the reaction to BVS, Warner Bros. Hired a trailer company to edit the theatrical cut, which is why the film has so many weird edits and song choices which we'll get to. Regardless, although this was another hit for DC's reputation, they haven't given up on this property, with a soft reboot sequel set to come out next year featuring some of the original cast and being directed by James Gunn, who got hired in the brief period of time when he was fired from Marvel and Disney because of his old tweets. And Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn being so popular that she's getting her own standalone female ensemble film, Birds of Prey, coming out this week at the time of this recording. But anyways, with the history out of the way, let's get into the plot. The film was set around a year or so after BVS, where the world is asking who will be the next Superman. In response to that question, the government, more specifically Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, decides to come up with Task Force X, a project that involves recruiting supervillains from Blackgate, a high-octane and cruel prison in the swamps of Louisiana, to cover up and solve the government's dirty secrets when nobody else can. Among this group, we had mercenary Deadshot played by Will Smith, who never misses a shot and never gets caught, until he's captured by Batman through his only weakness being through his daughter Zoe. Another major player is Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, who wants to be a psychiatrist in Arkham Asylum for the Joker, played by Jared Leto in this version, but slowly ended up being manipulated and later tortured being the Joker's even crazier girlfriend, becoming the king and queen of Gotham, until they're hunted by the Batman, crashing their sparkly Lamborghini into the bay, and Batman capturing Quinn, but the Joker escaped beforehand. Another member is George Harkness, also known as Captain Boomerang, played by Jai Courtney, a bank robber who is captured by the Flash after trying to steal his first bank in America, after stealing from all of Australia's banks. Another member is El Diablo, played by Jay Hernandez, a gamer with fireplace who one night accidentally kills his wife and kids after having an outburst with his wife about his killings and has since lived with guilt and wants to die. Alongside, we get introduced to other members that don't get much backstory, from Killer Croc, played by Alawale Akinoue Abaji, a human croc hybrid, Katana, played by Karen Fukuhara, who's not a criminal but does have a samurai sword that traps the souls of her victims, including her husbands, and Slipknot, played by Adam Beach, who can climb anything, and that's it. Lastly, we have the leader, Colonel Rick Flag, played by Joel Kinnaman, whose girlfriend June Moon, played by Cara Delevingne, got possessed by an ancient witch known as the Enchantress when she fell into a hole while doing some archaeological digging in the jungle and can summon her when she says her name. She manages to break free from Waller after sabotaging a mission trying to find files for them, and manages to get her ancient brother to take over Midway City, another fictional city that's right next to Gotham, and plans on taking over the world. Big shock. So Waller sends in her team, and they stumble across many issues. Slipknot gets killed after trying to escape because Waller put explosive trackers on their necks so they can't run free, which they try to do throughout the film. They talk back to each other, but grow up on one another as the film progresses. Meanwhile, the Joker is trying to find Harley and hears about Waller's team and gets searching for her. But it quickly goes wrong after Waller orders one of her planes to strike Jokers, which ends up crashing with Harley surviving and the Joker being presumed dead. Waller then gets another chopper to fly her out after her plane is exposed by the team, but that chopper also gets crashed by the Enchantress's goons, as they capture her and use her brain to strike any and all secret government facilities. Meanwhile, the team disbands from Flag's orders because they find out the real reason why they were recruited and have an emotional discussion at bar about their issues before Flag convinces them to save the world. As they go to the Enchantress and manage to fight her off, by El Diablo sacrificing himself to save the team and kill the Enchantress's big brother, and then outsmart the Enchantress by Harley Quinn, pretending to join her as she slices her heart open using Katana's blade, which is her weak point, as Deadshot blows up the Enchantress's portal thing as her plan goes to waste. Rick destroys her heart, knowing this will probably kill June, but she ends up being alive as everyone gets a reward. Bart still sent back to prison, as Deadshot gets to see his daughter more, Rick and June are in a happy relationship, Captain Boomerang is mad about wanting to get out, Killer Croc gets to wants BET, and more. With the film ending off with the Joker being alive, big surprise, as he based Harley at Blackgate as credits roll to a post-credits scene of Waller sitting down with Bruce Wayne, giving him files on various members of the Justice League as he asks her to shut down the program, as she says he should stop working nights as credits roll. The film has a lot of really solid action here. Will Smith has a really good Deadshot, Viola Davis is a great Amanda Waller, Jay Hernandez is really good as El Diablo and has the best emotional scenes of the film, Jai Courtney is a good cynical smarmy Captain Boomerang, and I'm glad he's coming back for the sequel, and hopefully he gets to do more with his character. And everyone else is good in the film, for the most part. When it's not, of course, being Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, which was perfect casting, and I see why DC decided to keep her around, because she embodies this role quite well, even if the script doesn't. The action is fun at points, some songs in the soundtrack are really catchy, the characters that get the most focus like Deadshot, El Diablo, and Harley Quinn all have decent arcs that pay off in some respects. All the practical makeup and costume design is really well done, most notably with color correction on El Diablo. I don't think it's Oscar worthy, but all these characters stand out visually from one another, and that's really good for an ensemble team up film like this. And lastly, I do like how it incorporates the other DC films. Apart from the post-credits scene, it all feels like Guardians to the story. The Flash cameo here is way better than the one we got in BVS, and Batman acts way more like Batman should act, and I think it's the best performance Ben Affleck has given this character, even if it is just an extended cameo. This film has a lot of issues to say the least. Starting off with, the film suffers from a lot of the same issues as the other DCU films in first. The film is way too overstuffed with characters and plot points that barely anything gets a chance to breathe, and it reminds actually good artists like El Diablo's. The look of the film is once again very ugly and hard to look at because it's so dark and chock full of CGI monsters and helicopter crashes, which everybody survives without a scratch on them. The visuals just aren't good here and suffers from every superhero trope imaginable, from the villain who wants to destroy the world for no reason, with their faceless army, heroes that make it out of every situation apart from a sacrifice that happens towards the end, among others. Another major issue that brings the film down is the editing. Warner Bros. Making the decision to have a trailer house edit this film was baffling, and it shows why it's a bad idea. Half the film's dedicated to weird zoom-ins and transitions where it's not needed, just to add color and extra flavor to the film, I guess, with every character getting their own title cards and descriptions like they're in Super Smash Bros. Or Street Fighter when you're selecting a character. Which will you choose? The mentally scarred chick with a bat, the alcoholic with a boomerang, or Will Smith with a gun, which we haven't seen that before? Waller selecting these people doesn't make any sense when faced off another big level threat, along with why aren't the Justice League here? It's shown that the Batman, the Flash, and Wonder Woman already exist in this world, and you don't see a glimpse of them trying to find Enchantress, which is yet another bad CGI villain with no motivation, just ends up being car delving belly dancing. But she's far from the worst in the film acting wise. That goes to Jared Leto, whose version of the Joker is so bizarre and out there that I wonder how no one told air how badly this character was written. Even the studio knew because most of the scenes were cut from the final film, really only seen in the extended edition. I'm an idea. Which really isn't worth discussing. I can respect Leto for trying to do something different and out there, but like the last in BVS, he overacts in a bad way, thinking he's the most intimidating version of the Joker, but in reality his scenes are cringe and are the worst of the film, because they make no sense to have the worst editing of the film. To show his insanity, I guess, even if his stupid look and dialogue didn't already give that away. And the grand scheme of things doesn't matter in the story, could have been cut out from the entire film. You can argue he matters to Harley Quinn, but if Birds of Prey can just cut him out entirely, and someone else can make an entirely different Joker film only 3 years later after this came out, it shows how bad this portrayal was. Which I'm not going to fully blame him because of the writing and directing from AR isn't good either. And as someone who hasn't seen all of his works, despite really enjoying Bright and I love End of Watch, one of my favorite fan footage and buddy cop movies to be honest, it was disappointing to see the script feel so weak, which probably wouldn't have happened if the studio gave him more time than 6 weeks to write the script, to try and catch up on Marvel, which you can dislike Marvel all you want, but you can't deny this was a desperate attempt to recreate Guardians of the Galaxy, especially with James Gunn now directing the sequel. From the bright colors, jokes, getting a bunch of ragtag characters and nobody knows apart from a couple, and worst of all, the soundtrack. Forcing some random pops onto every single scene in the film, from CCR, Eminem, 21 Pilots, and dozens of other artists that have random songs that just don't drive the scenes at all, just to inject personality into the film, I guess. Musicals have more soul when putting their music in than this film does. On with that, the film cuts corners in their story. It's obvious that the film was rushed into production, with half of them being character title cards, and the other half being bland super action with only a couple character-centric scenes, which are the best scenes of the film. And by the end, they try to have this forced message about family, despite most of them don't like each other, and they don't get a lot of interaction between each other to justify that message, just for the sake of an emotional climax like BVS. It's forced character development. Lastly, for being the shortest from the DCU thus far, this tries the longest out of all of them because the short stories are so weird that it can't balance their flow in the way the movie should. It's just not a good movie in my opinion. Overall, Suicide Squad is an incompetent, messy, and cliche film that tries to do so much and fails at it, even more so than BVS. It suffers from all the tropes you expect. There are so many characters on the screen that most don't get a chance to develop. I didn't even mention the fact that people like David Harbour, Ike Barinholtz, Sky Eastwood, and Common are all in the film in nothing roles. But if film still forces them to maintain to act like they are family now for some reason, the emotional scenes don't work apart from the bar scene, the visuals aren't good, the look of the film is too dark and ugly to see, the soundtrack is forced in the most annoying way possible, Jared Leto's Joker's worst interpretation is this iconic villain, the screenplay is so rushed together, it tries to be like Guardians of the Galaxy, but doesn't understand that catchy tunes and weird characters didn't make that film work is because of the passion behind the camera. It's such a lazy course correction trying to be lighter with the comedy mostly falling flat, and a lot of visuals being so colorful and in your face that the filmmakers should have put an epilepsy warning before the film started. And it's just not a good film in my opinion, and it's my least favorite film in the DCEU thus far, because it brings up the worst of DC's problems and the least amount of its strengths. It's not the worst DC superhero film I've covered. There are some solid performances, some fun action, some cool cameos, good practical makeup, and some decent arcs that could have been great if they were given more screen time. As a whole though, it's a mess. I give Suicide Squad a D+, a 3.5 out of 10, and a skip recommendation. So that's Suicide Squad. What do you guys think about it? Leave your thoughts in the comments, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. I'm CBMF Productions, and this isn't the last DC film to review, because justice needs to be served.